everyone, and today we are going to be doing Class 6 History Chapter 1 What, Where, How, and When. So, throughout this chapter, I want you to be thinking about what is that we're talking about. Like every single word that I'm gonna say, you wanna ask a question on that. For example, if you see why did people live near the river, you want to think about that. Because in this book, it's just going to say that they lived there. It's not going to really explain how or why. So you want to keep that at the back of your mind and maybe comment down below whatever you think. What are your questions? So let's begin. Rashida's question. Rashida sat reading the newspaper. Suddenly her eyes fell on a small headline, 100 years ago. How, she wondered. Could anyone know what happened so many years ago? So right here, her question is very open-ended. So it basically means she's just wondering what happened back then. So we're gonna explore what really did happen, finding out what happened. Yesterday, you could listen to the radio, television, read a newspaper. Last year, you can ask somebody who remembers. But what about long, long ago? Like, what about before you were born or before your great-grandparents were born? What about when people were still evolving? Well, that's a really good question. Let us see how it can be done. What can we know about the past? There are several things we can find out. What people ate, the different kinds of clothes they wore, the houses in which they lived. We can find out about the lives of hunters, herders, farmers, rulers, merchants, priests, craftspersons, artists, musicians, and scientists. We can also find out about the games children played, the stories they heard, and the plays they saw. Also, the songs they sang. So let's talk about where did people live? Now, also, right now, if you have any questions, you can note that somewhere and talk about it or discuss it with some of your family members. Let us do a question. Were there even herders before? Well, obviously, because it says over there. But what about the first time? Long back then, were there rulers? Well, that's really good wonderings. And that's all you need to do throughout this chapter. Let's move on. Let's find the river Narmada on map 1, which is on the other page. Ooh, it's loading. Oh, there. This is the Narmada River. Let's see what they're going to talk about. People have lived along the banks of this river for several 100,000 years. So, let's read that again. People have lived along the banks of this river. So people used to live over there for several 100,000 years. Some of the earliest people who lived here were skilled gatherers. Gatherers are people who gathered their food, so that means maybe collecting your food, right? So if you're hunting, then you're gathering your food for even later uses. What you might get a hint over here is that maybe they stopped hunting sometime, so they ate their gathered food, right? Maybe in winter they didn't like to gather food because they felt cold. So those are wonderings, okay? They knew about the vast wealth of plants in the surrounding forests and collected roots, fruits, and other forest produce for their food. They also hunted animals. Okay, a couple of wonderings over here and a bit of explanation. The explanation is that the vast wealth of plants. So back then they actually knew that there was so much to explore. Maybe that's why they used to move from places to places. That answers some of our wonderings. So, as a hint, this book answers your wonderings, but you have to think about those wonderings. Okay? Another wondering that you might have is that why did people live along the banks of these rivers? So, imagine you're this person and this is the river. What are the uses of that river? For that river, you can swim in there, play, right? That's some entertainment. But some of our needs. We need water, right? We need water. So that's why people used to live near rivers. Also, another thing is that you can easily connect to places by rivers. So you can maybe have a boat. Maybe they had a boat back then. We haven't really cleared those things out in these books, but maybe they had a boat back then and they used to row the boats along the river. That could be one wondering. So that's the first part of our book today. And thank you for watching this video. Hope you got all those topics that we talked about. Comment down below any wonderings that you want to be answered. And I'll see you very soon. Bye.